Hello everyone, I'm Mark Blanco and these are my teammates Caitlin Fisher and Will Winterton, and we are Spacefox. In short, we are the Airbnb for office space. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a small business owner out of Northwest Arkansas, and I meet with other vendors and other business owners on a frequent basis. However, the only space that I have to meet out of is my manufacturing facility, which is not very convenient and to meet with these other clients. The only other space that I have really to meet with them is in coffee shops. But these aren't convenient either because they're loud and other people can hear our conversations. Ideally, I'd like to be able to meet out of an office space like this. However, it's just not affordable for me as a small business owner to be able to pay for a long-term lease on an office space that I only need twice a month. There's other businesses that are trying to make it more affordable for me, such as Regis, but they still require 6 month to year-long commitments. Getting closer to my needs are co-working spaces. However, they don't typically offer private office spaces and are still month-long commitments when I only need the space twice a month. So out of this need for convenient, affordable, flexible office space, Spacefox was born. We work with growing businesses that have had to sign long-term leases on space that's bigger than what they need to grow into, as well as shrinking businesses that have had to downsize in recent years because of the economy. So we connect them on our platform to users who are either coming into town and need that space, or people around town who just need to meet with a client. So our addressable market is a little over $2 billion, growing to over $3 billion by 2020. This is the 90 markets that we see ourselves going into by the end of 2021. These 90 markets is our addressable market. The total national market in the US is $8 billion, growing up to $13 billion by the end of 2020. The price of office space has been increasing since 2012. Growing every year. While at the same time, over the past year, the absorption rate has been decreasing, meaning less people are renting out office space, while at the same time more office space is being built. That means that there's a lot of vacancies in the real estate area, making room for us to be able to get those vacant office spaces onto our platform. Right now, we're going to be launching our beta in Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas over the next several months, and then working our way into these 5 additional markets by the end of 2017. So that's where you come in. We're seeking $10,000 to help us get from 1 market to these additional 5 markets within our allotted time period.
So we do have some competition in the market, but there are a few key things that set us apart. The first being our seamless experience of our platform. Freelancers or small business teams can create a profile, link it to their LinkedIn account to make it a little bit easier, and all they have to do is put in the time that they need it, the locations that they're interested in, and the price point, and immediately start seeing places in their area that they can rent. In the same way, business owners can quickly create a profile and describe their office space. They can show what time periods that they want people in their office and start making money off of that unused space that they're currently losing some money on. We have an amazing team of advisors with great experience and connections in the markets that we're trying to reach. We're going to be focusing on those underserved markets. Our competition is mostly in big areas like New York City and LA, and we, like Mark was telling you, we will be focused on places like Northwest Arkansas, San Antonio, Memphis, places like that, where a lot of business is done but can be kind of overlooked. We also have an amazing market research algorithm that we created to help us pinpoint those cities that we will make the biggest impact in and therefore be most profitable in. So here's an example of our fully built out front end of our platform. You can see when you log on, that is what you'll see. You can immediately start seeing spaces in the area. Once you click on one of those spaces, you see the beautiful pictures of where you could be working and some information about what they do, their hours, things like that. So how will we be making money? 17%, we'll take 17% from each transaction. That's 7% from the host and 10% from the guest. Our customer acquisition cost is $49, while our lifetime value of both sides of the market is $336. To reach both of these markets, we have three key ways to do that. We'll mostly be using SEO and SEM to reach out to freelancers and small business teams. We also have a customer referral system that we believe will help us gain that those network effects a lot more quickly, since speed is a big part of our strategy in reaching all those markets. As well, we'll have a local sales team reaching out to businesses to get them on board as quickly as possible. So I mentioned competition a little bit. We put this matrix together to make it a little easier to see where we're at. We want to be the most affordable, and we believe by letting the business owners set their own prices and being in these underserved markets, that will create the lowest, the most affordable prices for these small business teams. As well, we also want to be the most flexible. So by having not only co-working spaces, but also local businesses and bigger areas, we can have the most choices for people, so they can be flexible on not only the area that they choose, but the amount of time that they need it for.
Thanks, Caitlin. So during the process of actually coming up with this idea, Mark became the guy that we all kind of turned to. He was the natural CEO as we continued to move forward and develop this idea. So and this came about because he has experience in a startup already. He actually owns a chocolate company with his wife and a few others in the Northwest Arkansas area, and they've continued to grow. He has a lot of business experience through this, along with management experience before he ever even considered starting his own company. So he actually has a lot of experience, has moved into this. Caitlin has become our Chief Marketing Officer due to really similar situations, because she has a lot of experience in marketing in the past. And part of this came about during her undergraduate years in the American Marketing Association, but the rest was actually with Bass Pro Shop, and she's actually an analyst at Kellogg now. Now, we asked Pedro to join our team a few months in to be our developer, to really do the back end. And he has experience in SQL, which is actually what our custom platform is built in, is SQL. So the database that runs everything, that makes everything work, that's going to get people into the offices and payments to those people, is going to be built in SQL, and he has experience in that. He actually grew up in Brazil and worked in a technology company there called Sonda. So he comes in with a lot of experience, a lot of drive, and was really excited to be a part of the team as we continue to move forward. I personally grew up on a farm, so I'm not at all aware or wary of the 80-plus hour work weeks. In addition to that, I have a lot of experience in finance. I worked as a strategy analyst in a Fortune 500, and really am excited about this type of technology business. Where we are currently is we're moving really, really quickly and really close to beta development. Your $10,000 will be used to continue to move this platform forward. We will be expanding, as Mark mentioned, into these first 10 markets, and that's part of what the 10,000 will be, along with whatever expenses go into the back-end development. As I mentioned, Pedro is building that on a custom basis, so we'll have that. Following this, we're seeking over $500,000 in angel investment to continue to move the strategy forward. So part of our strategy is to move really quickly, and that'll be shown in the next slide. Where we are now is that we know that we need to move fast, and so that's where the $500,000 comes in. Following that, we'll have a Series A and a Series B round of $2 million and $3.5 million respectively, and we'll continue to move forward. As far as financials go, you'll notice that we are net income negative through the first 4 years of business, and this is on purpose. This is because we realize that there's a lot of opportunity here. We realize that there's the potential for other companies to move into this space, and we have to be the first ones there. We have to be the best in every single way. Now, happiness is a positive cash flow, as any investor knows, and we'll be happy in December of 2020. Following this, we'll be able to exit, but not necessarily will, at the end of 2021 by being able to sell to a company such as Airbnb or WeWork or Regis, as was mentioned earlier. And at this point, I'd like to open it up for questions. Thank you all for being here.
Okay. Have you consulted with a commercial real estate attorney about your concept? And the reason why I ask that is because it's very common in commercial office leases for the landlord or the building owner to reserve veto rights over subtenants and subleases. In other words, you can't sublease without the consent and approval of the landlord. In those situations, how does your model work, or can it work in that setting?
Yeah, so on our advisory board is, his name's Ramsey Ball. He's been in the retail or real estate business for the past 30 years. And so we've talked with him, we've talked with other people in the real estate industry, and they're all for it. Because we've asked them to kind of promote, if there was any way for them to promote our business to somebody leasing an office space. They weren't necessarily inclined to do that right at the moment because the market's not proven, but they said that they would completely be willing to let their tenants do it in order to see if it works or not.
But I still get the broader market because a lot of leases are restrictive on that. How do companies, co-working spaces, like there's a company in Atlanta called Rome, there's a lot of co-working spaces. I haven't used them. How's co-working evolving? Can you not rent a co-work space by the week? Is there longer a day, week? Are there longer term commitments in co-working? I don't quite understand.
So co-working spaces do rent by the day. Generally, though, they're really expensive. So renting by the month in a co-working space is much cheaper than we're going to be offering, most likely just because of they get it by the month or by longer term, such as 6 months. Some have 3-month agreements. But daily will be more like $40 or $50, depending on where you are. And then you also don't have a private desk. So it's questionable whether you're going to be in a space similar to the coffee shop situation that was mentioned earlier.
I understand that these smaller markets, Memphis, St. Louis, I understand that they don't have as much competition, but some of the information you put up about a lot of new building going on and therefore a lot more vacancies. In Memphis, I can't imagine there's been that many new office buildings built. So talk to me a little bit about how you chose these second tier, if you will, St. Louis, Memphis, San Antonio, how that works, because like I say, it doesn't seem to me that there's been a lot of new construction in those places.
Our market algorithm, again, is proprietary, so I won't go into all the details about that. But it is based on tourism. It's based on a couple of details that are put out by the Kauffman Foundation, which is a huge entrepreneurial research foundation. And so it's based on that. It's based on the Inc. 500, like which 5,000, which companies are in which areas are growing as fast as this. And all of it is built to define which places are going to have a lot of people looking for office space that aren't going to be the huge companies such as Walmart in our area.
So what keeps you up at night? What's your biggest, is it speed to market? I mean, at this point, somebody knocking you, I mean, you got so much competition out there once you do
That's
this.
definitely it. It's definitely speed to market. It's getting the people on board. The two-sided marketplace is tough, and we know that has to be done quickly and efficiently.
I'm curious on the $500,000 angel investor, what percentage of the company would you be giving up? Have y'all even thought ahead?
25%.
I'm curious. I mean, when you compare it to something like ShareDesk, for example, what is the competitive advantage that you guys are offering there, and what is the differentiator?
I think you should.
Okay. The differentiator between us and ShareDesk is that ShareDesk focuses mostly on co-working spaces, and they've actually moved now into trying to define ways to help co-working spaces further. So they're building like office management equipment just specifically for those spaces. So what we're doing is actually completely different from them, even though we will have co-working spaces, or the ability to list co-working spaces as well.
Along the lines of the subleasing question, security question, somebody who's got a conference room, how do you address
Yeah, so we're compiling paperwork right now, so that way whenever somebody books a space, they have to fill out some paperwork ahead of time, just stating, that they agree to the terms of the office space rules. That way, whenever they go in, they know kind of what that rule are, and they'll be kicked out if they don't follow along those rules.